Hi, good evening and welcome. I'm David Bradwell and I write the Anna Bergin mystery thrillers. Thank you for joining me. I'm not sure if there's anybody here at the moment, so I may just be talking to myself, but welcome along anyway. This is just a quick session to let you ask any questions that you have about the books or the characters or the writing process. Feel free. There should be comments boxes on YouTube and on Facebook. I've got Facebook windows open and a YouTube window open, both on the main computer and on the laptop. And then hopefully, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them away. They should also appear in the main screen. So as soon as things start actually being asked, then they will appear. If anybody does ask, nobody might turn up at all. Who knows? I did, however, ask on my mailing list to see if anybody had any questions to ask in advance, and I did have a few of those. And the first of which was why are the books set in the 1990s? And that is actually a very good question, because they are all set in the 1990s. Cold Press is set in 1993. And it's kind of historical, really. I wrote the first version of Cold Press in 1993, and then it sat in a drawer for 23 years, and I didn't do anything with it. And then in 2016, I found it again. So I say it was in a drawer. It was literally in a drawer, but it was also as a file on the hard disk. And I loaded it as a PDF into the Kindle and started to read it through, and I'd forgotten the ending, and I thought, this actually is better than, in some ways, better than I remembered. And I decided that I would just give it a bit of a rewrite. And so I did, and lo and behold, I deleted about 65,000 words. I think I deleted about 20,000, 30,000 words of the original and added 50,000 new ones. I added lots of new characters. The ending completely changed. Anna became Anna. She wasn't Anna in the first version. And so it went on, and eventually, by the end of 2016, I was working on it quite hard. It came out in 2017, actually 3 years and 3 days ago. And it was supposed to be a one-off, really, but then I missed the characters very much and decided that I ought to really write a sequel. I didn't expect anybody would read Cold Press, but I was having a lot of fun with the characters. So I rewrote, or started to write the sequel, which was Out of the Red. And I sent that one off to the editor as well. And then that one came out, and then it sort of developed from there. And it seemed to be logical, really, to keep all of the 1993 details. So the fact that there wasn't much by the way of mobile phones, there was no internet, all of that kind of thing. And I just thought that was quite nice, actually. It's quite a nice detail. It was all in there anyway. The cars were from 1993, etc. And so I kept all of that in. And then obviously Out of the Red became 1994, and then it progressed on from there. The only exceptions to those, of course, are In the Frame, which is the prequel novella, and that one's set in 1989, because that's when Anna and Danny met as students. And then we had Dying to Make You Mine, which was set last year, which was Anna in 2019, because I thought it'd be quite good fun to see what happened when Anna, who's always been relationship averse, was suddenly put onto a dating app situation. So so basically that's why they're all set in the 1990s. The next question was, how did Cold Press come about? I think I probably covered lots of that already, but I suppose the two pivotal things really were, I'd read a newspaper article with LJ Ross, Louise, and she grew up in the same village as me, in Ponteland in Northumberland. And this was in the local newspaper, in the Evening Chronicle, and she'd written the first of her books, which I think was Holy Island, and that had come out and it was doing very, very well. And I thought, I could do that. And she was the inspiration really for that. And also I did the James and Patterson masterclass on masterclass.com. And that was brilliant because suddenly it was like, I learned how to do outlining and all sorts of different things. And that was a big influence at the time as well. Oh, Dawn says, good evening. Hi, Dawn. Lovely to meet you. And Anne, hello, David. Hello, Dawn. So, yeah, we have got comments. So what I can do, now we've got comments, I can actually press the button here and transition to that one. And then, in theory, those comments should come up on the screen, but they're not. If they don't, then obviously technology is letting me down. But Dawn says, good evening. Laura May has joined as well. Hi, Laura. Lovely to see you here. So all of a sudden it feels like I'm not talking to myself anymore, but I kind of get used to that because it's just the nature of life. So we've discussed Cold Press and the 1990s. The next question that comes in is, are the characters based on people you know? Which is kind of one of the questions that I get asked a lot of times. And I'm just going to see if that is working, the transition. Bear with me. No, what I'll do, I'll take that one back off and I'll just put the other one back on now. So it's full screen with the exception of the chat windows. And if the chat windows get exciting, I will turn those back on. So are the characters based on people I know? Well, I think, with the exception of Graham March, who I will come back onto in a moment, there are bits of me probably in all of the characters. So Anna was a photographic student and I was a photographic student and basically did the same course. And the reason Anna is Anna Bergin is a tribute to Victor Bergin, who was in charge of our course when I was a student back at the Polytechnic of Central London back from 1985 to 88. Danny was from the northeast. Well, I was from the northeast and Claire was from the northeast and kind of I was from the northeast, and they ended up working for a tabloid newspaper, a big selling tabloid newspaper, and the newspaper scenes are based loosely on my experience of working at the Daily Mirror in London, just off Chancery Lane, back again in the 1980s. When I was a student, I did odd bits for the Daily Mirror. I wrote for the White Hot Club, which was their sort of pop gossip page at the time. Dawn says, I read Cold Press in one evening, I couldn't put it down. Dawn, what can I say? Thank you. That honestly, that really cheers me. That really cheers me up. I do spend a lot of time writing these, and there was a lot of late nights, and I'm going through that at the moment, and I probably look like a sleep-deprived zombie at the moment because I was up till 7 o'clock this morning last night. And yeah, it's brilliant when somebody says that they've read them and enjoyed them. It really, really does make a difference. So thank you, Dawn, for that. That is very lovely to hear. I will keep an eye on the messages. I think there is a slight delay on the messages coming up and me actually seeing them and obviously speaking about them, so I do apologise for that in the meantime. But yeah, so characters being based on people I know. So there's bits of me in Anna, in terms of relationship things, certainly. In terms of background and experiences, there's bits of me in lots of the characters. I'm not kind of like Claire in that I don't do some of the things that Claire does, but we'll see more about Claire later on, hopefully, as the hour progresses. Graham March, though, on the other hand, is slightly different. I mean, Graham, I've got a friend, as you may know if you're a Facebook friend, I've got a friend called Graham March, and Graham supports a rival football team to me. I'm very much Sunderland through and through, and he's a Newcastle fan, and we were getting relegated at the time that I was writing Cold Press, and I had a long-standing rivalry with Graham for many, many years, and it seemed that I needed to have a slightly villainous character that it would be quite good fun to name him in tribute of Graham. So I'm not saying it is Graham, but I tried to make him as obnoxious as possible. So Anne says that Dawn read the book before me. Should have asked for it earlier than Anne should have. So basically, we have, so Graham is somebody I've known for a very long time, and he takes it in good spirit, hopefully. But it is quite good fun. And then obviously, without wanting to give too many spoilers, when I was writing Fate of Silence, Sunderland were in the process of being relegated, and Graham was not particularly kind about that. And I think Graham in the books did certainly suffer accordingly. I have to say, between you and me, my downstairs there's like an overwhelming aroma of weed in here at the moment, and it's not me, it's my it's my downstairs neighbours. We probably shouldn't say please come round, but honestly it's getting a little bit, so if I probably should go and shut the window, but hey, it'll be fine. If I start talking gibberish, then you're probably fairly used to that by now. Anyway, a couple more comments. Dawn says, my mum bought it and I took it and read it before she even had a chance to look at it. That is the spirit. So I you know what, I've got a sneaking suspicion that Dawn is related to Anne. I think that Dawn is actually Anne's daughter, but I might be wrong. But they seem to have a very similar picture. Just saying, just thinking I've worked that one out. Anyway, so yes, that was Are the Characters Based on People You Know? To an extent, they are. What was the next one? The next one is, which is your favourite book? I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to sip of wine, because it's got to be done. So which is your favourite book? Obviously, I'm very partial to Cold Press because that was the first one and that was the one that started it all. But all that said, Fate of Silence remains the favourite, and every time I write a new one I think, oh, that's my new favourite, and then I go back to Fate of Silence. So when I did Illusions of Warsaw, I was convinced that was going to be the favourite, and lo and behold, it was kind of, but then I just keep going back to Fate of Silence because I think that's funny. You know, it's like, it's twist after twist after twist after twist after twist, and there's lots of jokes in it, and it just makes me laugh, and it made me laugh while I was writing it, and it had a very good feedback from the editor as well. It's had lots of really, really good reviews. I think it's probably had the best reviews of all of them, and I'll come on to reviews again shortly. I'm just getting overwhelmed by the weed smell. But so be it. I'm obviously having a big Saturday night in, but then we can't go out at the moment anyway, so we have to have big Saturday nights in. I'm just going to check everything is okay on the stream. I think it is. So yeah, Fate of Silence I think is the favourite. Fate of Silence is book 3. It's the third, if you like, in the Graham March trilogy. It does address some of the issues, and then leads on nicely into Court Me Kill Me. I like Court Me Kill Me as well, but I think Court Me Kill Me was difficult because that was written at a time when we were moving to a new warehouse with work, and I was moving house personally as well, and it was very disturbed. The writing process was, it's lovely to think I've got a clear run and I can just have a really good crack through it, and lo and behold with Dawn says, are they your new neighbours? Yes they are. Were they moving in or out? Hold on, there's some more messages here. Were they moving in or out? Yes, you're see, I was right. Dawn is Anne's daughter. See, hi Anne and Dawn again. Are they your new neighbours? Yes, they are the new neighbours. They've only moved in fairly recently, and he's a chef in a local restaurant in the town, so he's obviously been furloughed at the moment and isn't working, and they seem to spend most of their time smoking weed basically. So yeah, Fate of Silence is the favourite. There was a problem with Fate of Silence actually during the time I was writing it. All of the books, the first up until Illusions of Warsaw, were written on this laptop, my laptop, but I managed to break the screen. I had like a clear night. There's one night I had about 5 or 6 hours of clear writing time, and I thought, right, I'm going to clean the screen. So I squirted some Windoline on it, and it ran down into the machine, fused the screen, and then was away for about 4 weeks. So at the time when I was coming up to the deadline with Fate of Silence, I lost the laptop, which was a bit of an issue, but hey, it was fine, and it was just a few late nights. It was 99% written in bed, that one as well, because that's quite a good place. Next is, why do all of your books have bits set somewhere in Europe? Well, it's a good question, and so there's two reasons for that, really. I mean, it's lovely, or at least it was lovely back in the days when you could travel around Europe to just disappear off and just have a weekend or a long weekend, or even sometimes a week away somewhere writing, and just, you know, lock myself away in a hotel room, or in the case of Sofia, the first time I went to Sofia, just basically have a week of just, you know, knowing that there was a scene at the end of Out of the Red that was set in Sofia, knowing that I would need to visit to get a bit of authenticity. Start that one again, another glass of wine, and authenticity. And I went to Sofia and then had all of the idea, while I was doing the research into Sofia and walking around and exploring and going on the free walking tours and all that kind of stuff, I came up with the idea for Fate of Silence, which is then also partly set there. And it's just much more realistic. I know a lot of authors who do all of their research via Google and Google Maps and all of that kind of thing, and that's fine, and you know, it works, but personally it's nice to actually go and visit a place. So the reason why there's always bits set in Europe is I kind of like Europe. I like Germany. I like going to Germany. It's just a nice place, you know, and it's been an adventure to go off to Bratislava, which is in Court Me Kill Me, or to Sofia, which is in Out of the Red and Fate of Silence, or obviously Warsaw from Illusions of Warsaw. I've spent a lot of time in Cologne over the last 6 years, I suppose, so you'll often see bits of Cologne in there. In January of this year, before the lockdown, I went to Paris for a weekend, and then Frankfurt for an extended weekend. So there's bits of the new book, which again we'll come on to a bit later on, that are set in Frankfurt and Paris, and also there's quite a bit set in Koblenz. Now I must admit, I haven't spent a lot of time in Koblenz. It was supposed to be set partly in Koblenz and partly in Leipzig, and I've been to both. I was going to be going back in April, but obviously with the situation in the real world at the moment, I can't actually do that. So next one is, do you visit all of the locations? Well, I think yes, just about. What I have actually done is when I've visited the locations, is I've taken a video camera with me most of the time, and I do have a locations gallery on the website, which is davidbradwell.com, and I've also done videos in lots of the locations. Now, bits of those videos end up in the trailer videos, which I don't know if you've seen the trailer videos, but if we look at the trailer video, you know what, I could put them on. Should I put them on? Would you like to see a trailer video? Tell you what, I'll play you the Dying to Make You Mine trailer video, and then you can see that one, and you'll see bits of location in that one, and then I'll come straight back. So that was the Dying to Make Mine video, and as you can see in that, a lot of that was shot by me. I didn't have to go didn't actually have to go very far for a lot of that, because a lot of that was actually based on Hitchin, which is where I am in Hertfordshire in the UK. But there's bits shot with the drone over the top of Hitchin. There was bits shot on location. There was bits shot in the underground car park down here. There was bits shot on a night out in Hitchin at the Corn Exchange, which is now the Picture and Piano, but it's the Corn Exchange in the book. And also at a club called Speakeasy, which is the dancing thing. So yeah, it's good fun to visit the locations. One day I plan on doing location videos basically, as well as the photography, which is on the website. And that would be good fun to do. There's lots and lots of stuff that's been shot, and that's basically me standing talking to camera, discussing Sofia and discussing Bratislava and discussing all sorts of different things as I go around. And one day, when time permits, I will hopefully get onto it. So, next question. What do you do when you're not writing? Well, interesting. So my day job is running a hosiery company, a ladies legwear company. So basically hosiery retail website called stockingshq.com. We also have tightsandmore.com, which is more tights, and then pantyhosenmore.com in America, and strumphosenundermeer.de for Germany. And yeah, so the base of the day job is running those, and that means working with members of staff that we have. We have Mary, who is our buyer, and Una, who looks after the customer service, and then Eileen and Laura and Fliz, who work in dispatch. Making sure that we have the biggest and best possible range that we can of lots of exciting legwear products, and then making sure that the orders that come in are sent out very, very quickly. I've been doing that for 20 years, and it's... Oh, sorry, I banged into the microphone. I do apologise if that was a big bang. I was trying to go back to the mouse, but you know what it was? It was the glass of wine was doing it for me. I have water in a moment. Once the glass of wine is finished, we're cracking on with the water. So Stockings HQ is good fun. Been doing it for 20 years. It's hard work, and it's lots of late nights and long hours, but it has its moments. It is quite an enjoyable lifestyle, really. It means I can work from home, and the idea is that I work from home doing that during the day, and then do writing in the evenings. What else? It's not enough. Yeah, it's like having two full-time day jobs, which doesn't leave an awful lot of free time, it has to be said. So I would like to have more free time. Don't have an awful lot of free time, and that is a bit of an issue, and I know that does annoy some people sometimes. But bills to pay and all the rest of it. Aside from that, I used to play football quite a bit, although I used to keep getting injured while I was doing that, so I haven't done that so much recently. I've done quite a bit of screen acting as well. I've done lots and lots of screen acting courses, and then the odd student thing, and a couple of short films, which was good fun. And that is good fun, because it's a complete different discipline, basically, to just disappear off into your own into a completely different, well, not your own world, but a different character's world, and you research the characters and you learn the lines and understand characters and motivations and objectives and super objectives and all that kind of stuff, and inner monologues and various different things. And I think actually that has also helped with the writing, because when it comes to characterization and having an understanding of the characters, a lot of the acting training it influences what then happens with the character or the writing side of things as well. So that, and also I do then have synthesizers. I do occasionally do some of the music for trailer videos and things. So if you listen to the Cold Press trailer video, which I should play you now, I did the music for this one because I been doing that since I was 17, and that's quite good. Here's the cold press ad, and if you haven't seen it before, you probably have seen it before, but if you haven't, I'll play it now, and I did the music for this one. So, Anne says, do you write all the music for all your trailers? No, I don't. I did for that one, and I do for some of the ones that are used for Stockings HQ. So, on the Stockings HQ YouTube channel, there's quite a few of the videos in there and stuff I've done. It's nice to do, but it's just time, really, and it does take a lot of time. I'd love to have more time to do that. I've got a big synthesizer sitting down here, and it would be lovely to have more time to do things like that, but the pressure is the pressure is constantly on in terms of deadlines. Probably come on to that as well in a moment. I think there's a question about what I'm working on at the moment. How long does it take? So the next question was, why is Cold Press no longer free? Cold Press is still free, but it's no longer free on Amazon and Kobo and Nook and Apple and places like that. It was free for a very, very long time, but recently I've made it not free because it's I just thought it'd be interesting to see what happened. And what I was finding was that loads and loads of people were downloading free copies all the time, but it didn't necessarily mean that anybody was reading them. And you know, when you look at the read through to then the other books in the series, it just wasn't there. And I thought, well, is it a problem with the book, or is it a problem with just people are downloading it because it's free and then never actually getting around to reading it? So I thought, for an experiment, I'd make it free via the website. So if you go to davidbradwell.com, you can click the link there, get Cold Press for free, and then it takes you to a book funnel page. You can download a free copy. It will probably end up going back free on Amazon and other places like that, but I don't know. It just seems like more of an incentive, really, if it's free on the website. And to be fair, I think most people who want a copy have probably got one already anyway. It's about 150,000 copies of Cold Press that have gone out. There are excuse me, I thought that was going to happen. Sorry, there's coronavirus. It's not really coronavirus for you. It's because I'm talking too much and not drinking enough wine. I'll do a bit more of that. Cheers. Dawn says, do you ever find time to relax? No, not really. I mean, writing is relaxing. I find it very cathartic, and it's you know, it's a lot of fun to do it, and it's nice to disappear off into a different world altogether without any suppliers and any banks and any hassles with anything really, you know, customers and worrying about staff and, you know, everybody's well-being and health and safety and all that kind of thing. So no, it is quite good fun to write and just disappear into an imaginary world and just spend evenings doing that. And it's I love doing it, really, which is the main thing. So that is the relaxing time, and it's not a classic relaxation. I mean, it's nice to go to the cinema occasionally. Obviously we can't do that at the moment anyway. It's nice to go to watch football matches occasionally. That was always good fun, although Sunderland fan, so that doesn't always necessarily equate to enjoyment. But it's it's still nice to do. Relaxing is. It'll be nice to do. I think I just need to. I've committed to doing 3 books a year at the moment, and the one I'm currently working on was supposed to be with the editor back in March. It still isn't with the editor. It is nearly there now. Actually, I've been working on that a lot recently. And every so often, once the book goes to the editor, there is a little bit of downtime, and then there's the launch of the book to worry about, which gets quite busy, and then it's working on the next one. So there's not an awful lot of time between those. We've done Why Is No Press, Cold Press no longer free. Why is Dying to Make You Mine only on Amazon? Which is Anne says, lol. Can I have some of my rockets back? Yes. You know what? I will get time to. I used to play like a Facebook quiz thing with Anne, and that was good fun. I just have not had the time to even look at that recently. But yeah, all the rockets are there. I'm looking after them for you, and you can have them all back. So that's no problem. Why is Dying to Make You Mine only on Amazon? And that's. It's kind of a big question. I mean, it has been on Kobo and Nook and Apple and other places periodically. Amazon does the thing called KDP Select, whereby if you agree to give Amazon exclusivity of a book, they will put you into that, which means anybody with a Kindle Unlimited or an Amazon Prime account can download it free of charge, and you get paid a royalty based on page reads. Now, an awful lot of authors make an awful lot of money from doing page reads from KDP Select. I've always been wide, really. I've always been on Amazon, as well as Kobo, as well as Nook, as well as Apple, and various other places. And it's always been sort of the aspiration to keep that way. But just with Dying to Make You Mine, because it's more of a standalone at the moment, I thought it'd be fun to make it available. Not fun, but I thought it'd be, make it available wide originally, and then see whether or not it makes a difference on just putting it on KDP Select, because then you can do advertising whereby people can visit Amazon, they can download the book for free, but you'll still get the royalty for the page reads, which covers the cost of the advertising. That's essentially the theory. Does it really work? It works for a lot of people. I know with Mark Dawson, who is a very successful author who I've spoken to at the London Book Fair a couple of times. He just launched a new book a couple of weeks ago, and I think he put that wide for about a week initially, so it was on Kobo. So only Kobo readers and Nook readers and Apple readers could order it then, and then it goes into KDP Select. With the new one that I'm working on now, which is The Blood of Angels, that may well follow that pattern actually. So, but I mean, it should be out in June, and I'll be mentioning that via the mailing list to see what happens. Next question is, will Danny will Danny ever get together with Anna? Well, spoiler. I'd love to give a definitive answer to that, but spoiler alert. So it depends on which book you've read, how relevant that question is, and whether or not it's difficult, because obviously I have to assume that people have probably read Cold Press at this point. So obviously in Cold Press, Anna's very keen on Danny, but doesn't want to do anything about it because they're best friends. And at the end of the day, she doesn't want to mess that up. So even though there's a longing there, and then in Out of the Red, she gets very miffed by the fact that she thinks that Danny has feelings for Claire. So she goes off and finds a boyfriend called Mitch, and it's not entirely smooth. So yeah, it develops. So in Court Me, Kill Me, if you read that one, it's not going well. If you read Illusions of Warsaw, going a bit better. Whether they'll finally get together without giving any spoilers, who knows? Why is Anna so rubbish at relationships? I think that's the next question that was sent in advance. There's a lot of Anna that's based on me, and there's a lot of discussion of the whole relationship thing through the voice of Anna in the various different books. So she equates in The Frame, which is the series prequel novella, she equates one night stands to going to McDonald's, and a lifelong relationship to going to a Michelin starred restaurant. And she doesn't really want to do one night stands, and equally her feeling is that if you meet somebody, the chances are you don't know anything about them, and if you're aiming for a lifelong relationship with somebody, when you know nothing about them, the chances are it's not going to work, and that means that it'll probably end at some point quite painfully. So why bother with all of that? Why not just ignore the whole thing? And so that's Anna's kind of overriding relationship feeling. Whether that is right or wrong, who knows? And certainly that does evolve over time, and I think you'll see if you read Dying to Make You Mine, which is set in 2019, which is Anna on dating apps, there will be moments in that where she has changed her mind and has softened that opinion, but it still goes wrong, without giving any spoilers. Whatever happened? Oh, hi, Joanna Joseph is in. Greetings from New Zealand. I'm interested in which authors have most influenced your writing. Did you always want to be a writer? Joanna, brilliant. Thank you for that. So, which authors have influenced? I mean, I have always wanted to be a writer. To answer the second part first, I remember back in it must be in the early 1980s, there was a new pound note came out, and my aunt came round to the house where I was living at the time and was showing, she was like, we've got one of these new pound notes which nobody had seen before, and I asked her if I could borrow it, and it wasn't to go and spend it on anything, it was just because I wanted to borrow it to do a tracing of it, because I thought I was writing a book. I had an idea for a book about a forgery at the time, and I thought it'd be really good to have an image of the current new. Dawn has also sent another question. Come back into that. So basically, I was trying to write a book then, and that would have been about 1980, something like that. So it'd been about 12, 13. I mean, when I was younger, I used to read all of the, the famous 5 books and all of those, and then Agatha Christie. I started reading Agatha Christie books when I was at school, whodunits. I found those endlessly fascinating. I mean, more recently, just looking at the bookcase, which is over there. You can't really see the bookcase over there. So I can't. The camera's over there. The bookcase is over there. But Anthony Horowitz is a big influence at the moment. He did a book called Magpie Murders, which came out in I think 2016, and that was the other thing which tipped me over the edge for doing cold press, because I read Magpie Murders and it was so good that it was kind of an Agatha Christie-esque book, but it was that set within another book. So you have the Hercule Poirot style detective within the book, and it was so cleverly done. It was brilliant. And I must admit, I met Anthony Horowitz at Capital Crime Fiction Festival in London back in October, and I was a bit starstruck. I have to be said, it was because it was such a pivotal thing. So other authors which have influenced the writing. I mean, I used to run a website called purefiction.com back in 1994 till about 1999. And the idea of Pure Fiction was it was all about best-selling novels and how to write them. So it was the early days of the internet. And the idea was that I wanted to write a book, and I thought it'd be fun to interview authors. I went to work for a couple of publishing companies as well, part-time, taking sort of leave, holiday leave from my day job, which was working on a newspaper at the time, and going to work within publishing companies just to get some experience and writing back cover blurbs and all that kind of stuff, and looking through slush piles and various different things. And through Pure Fiction, we used to get sent lots of books for reviews all the time. And there was another author called Philip Caveney, who is now very privileged to say he's a Facebook friend. He did a book called Skinflix, which I read back in the 1990s, probably about 93, 90, no, it must have been 94, 95, I think. And that was so good. That was like a crime thriller, but with lots of humour in it. And so that one is quite pivotal as well. But I'd say fundamentally probably Agatha Christie. I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near as good as Agatha Christie, and I am working on an idea for one at the moment, which is set in which will be the next in the Anna series, actually, which is a Cluedo themed weekend set in a sort of big house in Cornwall, which is kind of the setup from And Then There Were None. I nearly said some of the old names of the titles of that one, but And Then There Were None, where the 10 of them go off to a big house, and then they all get murdered. It will be different to that, and it'll have lots of twists and various different things, but there will be a little bit of a nod to Agatha Christie, and you'll see that within various books, actually, that in Fate of Silence, they get on the train from Paddington, and there's an Agatha Christie reference there, because they're actually going down to Devon, and it's the 450 from Paddington, and various different things. So that, I think, is probably a reasonable answer to that one. But if there's anything else you'd like to know on that one, Joanna, just let me know. Feel free to add a supplementary. I'll try to keep an eye. Oh, Anita Smith says, hi, I read Cold Press on the plane, didn't get any sleep until it was finished. My daughter has read it as well and loved it. Well, that's Anita. What can I say? You are, as always, a legend, and thank you very much indeed for that. Being stuck in Cape Town due to the lockdown, I ordered the other 3 books and just received them. Do you enjoy the research part of the books? Yes, I do. Anita, thank you for that. Anita is somebody who I've worked with on the Stockings HQ side of things for a very long time. I love doing the research. The key with research, I suppose, is that you have to do it and then not put it in the book, as to an extent, because if you put too much of the research into the books, then what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch this on, and then everybody can see this, and there you go. But for some reason, the Facebook messages aren't coming up. There's only the test message there. Kelly, I'll come on to Kelly in a second. Bear with me, Kelly. I'm coming back. So yeah, do I enjoy doing the research? I absolutely do, and it's lovely to go off and visit the places. It's lovely to find out about new things. I mean, just this week I've been finding out all about selective yellow, which is the colour of headlamp that that was used in France up until 1993, which is quite pivotal in the plot of the new book that I'm working on at the moment. And it's just fascinating to, if you have an open mind, you can go off and explore and discover all sorts of things. Anything which is of interest, you can just basically go and develop knowledge within. Obviously, the internet's a massive help with that. But again, when it comes to locations, then definitely it is really, really good to be able to go off and to visit the locations. Kelly says, I agree, Anita, Cold Press was brilliant. Oh, Kelly, thank you. Very kind. I was sucked in as well and read it all over the course of one night. Do you realize that took me 23 years to write that book? People are reading it in one night. It's outrageous. Not really. I'm very, very happy indeed. I remember the next day very well. Life was still normal and I was a walking zombie. Hopefully now, Anita, you have access to wine and gin again there. That's because of the lockdown. So Kelly, thank you. And what can I say? I mean, it's lovely to get that kind of feedback. When when I wrote Cold Press, I didn't think anybody would read it, and I wrote it because it was fun to do. It's had an awful lot of reviews on Amazon and Goodreads and Kobo and Nook and everywhere else. Dawn says, what was your favourite book as a child? Difficult. I would say, there was one called, was it Hill of the Red Fox? I think it was. That I remember. I'm just going to find out what that was. Bear with me. I will just look down here. Hill of the Red Fox. That was written by. Yes, it is. It is. Alan Campbell McLean. That was brilliant. That was absolutely, honestly, it's brilliant. It is still available now. I probably should read that again. That came out, I don't know, it was the time of the Cold War. Soviet spies are feared, secrets are traded, people disappear. 13-year-old Alistair, living in London, knows nothing of this world. He can't wait to start his long summer holiday in the Isle of Skye, away from his mother and aunt, but things do not go quite as planned. ... Honestly, that was brilliant, and I remember being so upset at the end. There was a twist at the end which is like heartbreaking, and it's difficult because I can't give spoilers on the on the new book. There is an influence from that in the one that I'm writing at the moment. All I can say, really. If you enjoy the new one, then there is Hill of the Red Fox. I think it was a children's book, but it was brilliant. It must have come out in the 70s. I'll see if I can find out when it came out. No, it's number 373,401 in the Kindle store, which is an outrage. It should be in the top 10 permanently because it was really, really good. So that, but at the same time, excuse me, I used to, I love reading the Famous Five books and all of the others. Never the Secret Seven, actually. I never really got into those. My sister was more into the Secret Seven, I think. And then Agatha Christie, I just got really into those and used to read those. I remember being at school when I was about 13, 14, and just reading Agatha Christie books, going to the library at lunchtime and reading Murder at the Vicarage or whatever it might be. And their plan was just to read the whole lot. And it was genuine works of genius, really. So, next question. Unless there's anything else on the list, hopefully you need to have access to wine and gin. Not yet, Kelly, but my children have a great cellar I can raid. Good luck there for Anita. And that is almost the end of the glass of wine. Who designs the covers? Me. I do all of that. So I don't know if that question has come because somebody thinks the covers are rubbish, or whether they think the covers are quite good. But I do all of the cover design. I do the videos. I do everything. The only involvement of anybody else in this whole process is the editor. And Carrie is. I'm very, 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 very lucky to have a brilliant editor called Carrie O'Grady, who kind of gets the books and gets the sense of humour and gets all of that kind of stuff. And I feel very privileged to work with Carrie. Everything else I do. Well, I've got a proofreader as well, actually. I should mention Carol is my proofreader. So the books get written, they go to Carrie, they come back, I make the changes, then they go to Carol, who's the proofreader, and then they come back. And Carol's brilliant. She's a journalist for the Times and is just a legend as well, really. But in terms of the other side of things, in terms of the production, so I do all the formatting, I do all the cover design, I do all the video trailers, I do all the website design, do all the graphics, do all the emails, I do everything. It's a bit of a battle, but it's good fun, and it's nice to be creative. Normally, this actually leads on to the next question, which is what's the most difficult bit? Normally the most the most difficult bit is to come up with a title, and sometimes it's to come up with a cover, because I'll do lots of different versions of covers and trying to get something that works really nicely. I'm pleased with the cover for the new one, The Blood of Angels, to the extent that, and the title actually, so that is straight out and done now, and the book's not even written yet, which is fairly unheard of. Out of the Red came to me in the kitchen at my old place. Illusions of Warsaw was an absolute sod of a title to come up with, because I just had hundreds of different title ideas and none of them were any good until I came up with that one. But yeah, the cover design is all me, and in fact the cover design for Illusions of Warsaw, I even took the main background picture for that one while I was in Warsaw. Kelly says the covers are great, sexy. Thank you, Kelly. What can I say? Very very pleased you say that. It's honestly, I'm blushing. I am blushing because it is very warm in here with all the what you don't see is that in order to get this quite subdued lighting effect, there are actually 14 lights in this. There are four candles to Ronnie's reference. There's a lava lamp. It's great big, really, really bright shining lights over there. So if I squint at that one, looking at the camera, that's because there's really, really bright lights. Another light off over there. There's 5 up over there, and then there's 2 over here behind the computer. Next question was best way to get started writing a book. This does actually, since doing this, lots of people have said, oh, I'd love to write a book, and how would I go about it? Oh, I've got so many ideas, but I can never actually do it. The best way to do it, I find, and it is different for everybody, and there is no right or wrong answer, really, and that is to just come up with the outline and not worry about starting on chapter 1, page 1, but just... hold on, Kelly says, we'll come back into that. Bear with me. Joanna says, I'm guessing you don't have cats. No, I don't have cats. I do have downstairs neighbours who, as we speak, have got the weed going again. So there is another overwhelming cloud of weed aroma coming up through the door at the moment. Kelly says, it was so unbelievably entwined character development, the empathy I felt towards a few of them was the perfect combination of twists and turns and kept us readers so involved. Kelly, what can I say? I mean, thank you, and that is lovely to hear. I'm gonna I'll go around with a grin for the rest of the week. Actually, some of these comments have been really, really lovely. So what was I've lost track of what the question was. Best way to get started writing the book? Yes, to do an outline. So what I do now is I don't worry about chapter 1. That's kind of written towards the end. It's like come up with a central theme, a central idea. So, for example, in Fate of Silence, you've got problems if being hunted by a Serbian hitman is the least of your worries. Or in Court Me, Kill Me, what if the only person you can trust is secretly plotting to kill you? And that's the central thing, and then you kind of develop it out from there. And what I do is a chapter by chapter, scene by scene outline, looking at all of the different points of the narrative, but all in terms of the action points, so that the whole thing is mapped out, then overlaying any red herrings and any twists and all that kind of stuff, but always trying to think about characters. And I'm doing, as I've got more experience, I suppose I'm doing lots more work on character development now. So for the new book, which I'll come on to in a second, but that one, all of the characters had great big long biographies, if you like, written about them before I ever started writing the book. So I really, really got to know the characters, got to know their background, their family situations, what they're interested in, what their needs were, what their objectives were, what their all of those different things, so that everything you then write from that character, with that character in the book, their motivation shines through, really. So I think the outline process is definitely the way forward. Some people just start. I mean, there's a thing called plotting versus pantsing. So flying by the seat of your pants, known as, gets shortened to pantsers. And lots of people do that. They literally get the blank page, and then they just start writing, and the story goes wherever the story goes. I'm very much a plotter, so that it's nice that you have the whole outline, every chapter, every scene, and then once you've done all of that and developed that, there's normally about 30,000 words gets written in that process, and then it's a question of just colouring in the details when it comes to the actual writing. How long does it take to write a book? The quickest was Dying to Make Mine, which is about 10 weeks. The longest was Cold Press, which was 23 years. I mean, generally it should be about 4 months, but the trouble is life gets in the way. So if I didn't have other things going on and other crises, not crises, but work gets busy and this, that and the other, and if that's a busy time, then that has to be a priority, because people's livelihoods depend on that. So with the new book, I was supposed to have it finished in March. It's now going to be 2 months late, but we've had the whole coronavirus pandemic and various different bits of impact on that, and it's meant that some of the free time that I should have had, I just haven't had because other things have had to be done. But generally, probably about 4 weeks. If there's a lot of research involved, and if there's lots of trips abroad and stuff like that, I mean, I have to be aware of carbon footprints and all the rest of it. But it is nice to go and visit locations, as mentioned before. And obviously, if you go and spend a week in somewhere like Warsaw for Illusions of Warsaw, then that does take time out. With the book set in Sofia, it was brilliant just to go and have a week in Sofia and spend a lot of the time just writing, just there. Sometimes I've gone to Cologne because I know Cologne in Germany quite well now. Sometimes I just go to Cologne and stay in a hotel and don't really ever leave the hotel, because I know the city quite well, but it's just nice to be there, to have a complete break with no interruptions, the phone's not ringing and all that kind of stuff, and just knuckle down and write lots and lots of words. Lots of Out of the Red was written in a hotel room in Cologne, in bed in a hotel. And lots of up until Illusions of Warsaw, everything was written on the laptop, and most of that was then written, it has to be said, in bed. It just works. Occasionally on the train as well. But 2 more questions. There's another one coming from Joanna. Joanna, thank you. How are you going to deal with COVID in the series going forward? Well, interesting case in point. One of there is the main series is set in the 1990s, so I don't need to worry about I'm just gonna have a sip of water now because I've been talking too much, and it is starting to go a bit croaky. For the books that are set in the 1990s, we don't need to worry about COVID because it wasn't a thing. There was a plan to do a sequel to Dying to Make You Mine, which would have been set in 2020. Now, as it's happened, because I've ended up doing The Blood of Angels, which I'll come on to in a second, but that one has kind of filled that slot. So the idea is to do one book in the main Anna series, and then one book in like a complementary thing, and then just alternate that to try and keep it fresh. And whereas I did Dying to Make You Mine between Court Me Kill Me and Illusions of Warsaw, The Blood of Angels is coming between Illusions of Warsaw and the next one. So the next one will be set after the one I'm doing now, which is set in 1993. Then the next one in the Anna series will be set in the 1990s as well. And then the one after that was going to be the next one in the Anna Contemporary series, which would have been set in 2020. But what I might do actually is do another one in the Claire series, which we can't, the new Claire series, which I'll come on to in a second. And then the next one in the Anna one might be 2021. It is difficult to know because so much of life has changed, and what I don't want to ever do is to try and write a book which cashes in on a global pandemic. And I'm sure there'll be a big rush of people writing virus-based thrillers and stuff. It's like it's been done, Contagion and all that kind of stuff. They're all valid pieces of work that were done before it happened. And I think fiction's about escapism, really. It's about good stories, and it's about trying to sort of lose yourself in a different world and different characters and all that kind of stuff. So if there is a book that's set in 2020, then it would have to be influenced by it. But I mean, there's no immediate plan to do one set in 2020. I think that the ending of Dying to Make Your Mind was quite explosive in some ways, and it will take Anna a bit of time to get over that. So the next one in that contemporary series might be 2021 anyway, but we'll see. I'm not sure if that answers the question or not. Kelly says, an idea for a novel could be an author that loses the plot a bit and is convinced that his various characters are indeed real. And also virus-based thriller, the last thing I'd want to read. Exactly, case in point. An author that loses the plot and is convinced that his various characters are indeed real. You could argue that I've done that. I mean, Anna is on Twitter. That's all I'll say on the subject. And I know Anna sent a message to my mailing list the other week complaining that people think she's purely a fictional construct. Who knows? Does Anna exist? Don't know. So what is the new spin-off series about was the last question that I've got here, which is quite good because we were supposed to run for about an hour. The camera battery lasts for about an hour and a half, but I had to leave it running beforehand. So if at any point the camera goes off, then you'll just see coloured bars on the screen. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be okay for the next 10 minutes or so. So what's the new spin-off series about? So the new spin-off book, or the new series, the new book is called The Blood of Angels, and you may have seen that on the mailing list, you might have seen that on Facebook. It's not finished yet. It should have been finished. It will be finished soon. I'm writing it tonight. I'm writing it all of tomorrow. I'll be writing it all of next week as well during the evenings. Hopefully it'll be to the editor by the end of this month, and it's about so I just got a couple more messages coming through there. It's about Claire post cold press, before Out of the Red. So a lot of people have read Cold Press, and I have to be aware I don't want to give any spoilers. So if you haven't read Cold Press yet, press the pause button now, or mute this or whatever. But in Cold Press, Claire goes missing, turns up at the end, and turns into a bit of a baddie. In Out of the Red, she comes back a year later, and she's kind of transformed. She's still a bit of a baddie, but she's turned into more of a sort of a ninja spy, sort of semi-assassin type figure. There is something which happened during that period of time, and the new book is what happened in that period of time. And I know some of the feedback that I've read on Illusions of Warsaw, one of the reviews that I read on Illusions of Warsaw said Claire was, that Claire was becoming, I forget what the exact phrase was, but it was something along the lines of, couldn't understand how Claire could do what Claire could do. What is that all about? Well, the new book explains all of that, because it starts from the final chapter of Cold Press, which is set in a hotel bar in Cologne at the hotel Ernst, what's the name? I forgot the final. Oh, it's gone. Ernst, anyway, whatever it is. Which is basically, I've been there though. It's what's it called? Ernst something. It's gone. Anyway, it'll come back to me. I didn't go to bed till 7 o'clock in the morning last night. Too busy. It will come back. Can't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. So there's a hotel bar, and Claire is there at the end of Cold Press, and then she meets the bloke called Stephen Pondorf, who's not based on my friend Stephen Pondorf, but is named after my friend Stephen. And she basically looks like she's going to go off and have an afternoon of shenanigans with Stephen. And the new book starts from that same scene, but it's written now in the first person perspective from Claire's point of view. And so she does indeed take Stephen upstairs back to her room, and he collapses at the door and he's gone. And he's like, what's that about? And then somebody else comes running along to help her out, and it transpires that actually he was there to arrest her, and this other person has poisoned his drink, and he's going to take her off because, you know, Claire's in a lot of danger at the time, and he's going to take her off and give her a job and do all sorts of things. And they go off together, and then before they get, well, when they get down to the car park, he gets whacked over the head with a baseball bat, and she gets abducted by somebody else. And so it's a bit of a twist fest. It's been a lot of fun, and it involves I'm just getting a third wave of a third wave of the weed aroma from downstairs. Police will be round shortly. It's downstairs neighbours, in case you missed the earlier thing. So the new one, there's a lot of East Germany. A lot of it's bits of it mainly set in London, Paris, and Koblenz and Frankfurt. Bits of it in Leipzig, bits of it in Cologne. There was supposed to be more set in Leipzig, and I was supposed to be going to Leipzig in April, but that didn't happen. So because of the virus, so that's had to change slightly. But no, it's been a lot of fun, and it's basically Claire's transition, because Claire, by the end of Cold Press, has kind of done what she set out to achieve. She's got a lot of money, but she realises she's sold her soul in the process, and she has a lot of regret and a lot of a lot of yearning to go back to the old ways. And you'll see that in Out of the Red. You'll see it when she's on Blackfriars Bridge in Out of the Red. You'll see it in the conversations she has with Danny in Fate of Silence, where Danny loses his temper with her, and and it's constantly throughout. She has these sort of frustrations that come through, that she's done something in a moment of madness that is going to influence her for any more. Blame the neighbours, says Kelly. Gotta blame the neighbours. They never invite me down there, what can I say? But I couldn't go anyway because of the lockdown. But anyway, so that is the new book. It's all about Claire, and there is lots of twists, lots of shenanigans, and the tagline at the moment is don't trust anybody, especially people who offer to protect you, and there's reasons for that which will become evident, and there's lots of twists, and then there's a big twist at the end, a couple of big twists at the end actually. But yeah, lots of fun. That, I think, is all of the questions. So unless anybody has any more on here, I will just check to see there. I don't think. I'm looking, I've got various different windows open on the laptop, on the desktop, and all of that kind of thing. But I think that is it. I was supposed to do about an hour. The battery in the camera will be going any minute now, so it's probably a good time to say goodbye. But thank you very, very much indeed for popping on and saying hello. And Joanna, Kelly, Anita, and Dawn, and Anne, and everybody else who sent messages. It's been much appreciated. Lovely to speak to you. I'm going to go and do some writing now until the early hours of the morning. It's just got another message come through there. That's not about that. That's okay. Bear with me. Just double check that one. So yeah, have a great fun. A good evening. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in, and obviously feel free to stay in touch and send messages and emails and anything else, and friend requests or whatever. I hope you enjoy the books. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.